Prabhupada sitting on the Shivaji Devi star as usual. Kirtan's going on. Sadhusanga Prabhu still about to pull ropes, and then his shoe came off. So he was trying to get a shoe while pulling the ropes, and some of the crews, hey, it's almost like ran over by the cart. So someone sitting there watching. So he would see Srila Prabhupada to glance at a different line.
Yeah. So that must have been after 34th Street. But Srila Prabhupada came up and met the cart at 34th Street.
Yeah, that was during the Roth.
So, I mean, the Roth started at 59th.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Prabhupada didn't join the cart until 34th Street. That's where the devotees brought him there.
Okay, I wasn't there when he first. So you were there at that time when Prabhupada probably got on Shivaji Devi's cart. So yeah, Vima Prabhu's his Dharma production guru showed him the way and take up Krishna consciousness. So
Very nice. Good guru.
yes, all the Prabhus now.
Okay. Is that permission to do
Do
this?
you have? Yeah, is everything set up for Vishnu Prabhu?
Yeah. Let's see some.
Maybe that chair.
Yeah, just use it.
So I'm just gonna sit here. Because matching with Asian Bible, it's very
Just a-
process I get.
And, during, when Srila Prabhupada was present, when Srila Prabhupada was present on the earth, I mean, manifestly, during the classes, we, what did devotees sit on?
Floor.
But I mean, the person giving the class, I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Just a cushion on the floor.
Yes.
There was no raised, nothing raised. So how come it changed?
Good question. That goes back many, many years. That answer.
We'll leave that there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's we'll chant. The Srimad Bhagavatam, so usually Prabhupada chanted Jaya Radha Madhav before Srimad Bhagavatam. Did you chant any other mantras? Not that.
Chant whatever you like.
You could chant Hare Krishna at the end of Jaya Radha Madhava?
Okay.
No, Jais of various kinds, Jais.
You promise target.
What did Srila Prabhupada do? That's it, nothing else, nothing else. Not that you can't do anything else, but that's what Srila Prabhupada did. Sometimes in the course of years, because devotees do different things, we forget the way that Srila Prabhupada did things. So in the Christian religion, they have this saying, WWJCD. What would Jesus Christ do? If you want to know something, so in ISKCON we say WWSPD.
SPD.
What did Srila Prabhupada do?
Oh.
Because he's the Acharya, so
We should wait for the microphone because
it's okay.
those who are already looking online, they're not hearing anything. There's a mic to the.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, this is additional.
It works better without microphone.
No, but
This is additional information. That's all I mean.
it's good for all the congregation to hear also.
WWSPD. So if there's a question about things, then we can refer to how Srila Prabhupada did things to get a good idea of how we can also do things. There's a verse, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akutobayam yoginam rinitam parerinam anukirtanam. It says that the doubtless and fearless way of success for all is to chant the holy names, or anukirtanam, following the example or the direction of the great authorities. That's doubtless and fearless. You can, of course, do it other ways, but it's not doubtless. You might not be effective that way, but doubtless and fearless way. You do it according to the great authority. So Srila Prabhupada chanted Jai Radha Madhava before Srimad Bhagavatam class, so we try to do that also. Why Jai Radha Madhava? Why Jai Radha Madhava?
I can give answer. Where's that microphone? Just so everyone.
You have another microphone? Good.
Yeah, just so. You're right, again, I'll give it to you.
They know.
It's only one.
I do.
Scientist.
Krishna. So Vishnu Prabhu is posing the question, why did Srila Prabhupada decide to chant the song Jaya Radha Madhava before he would give class? So I offered an answer, and it's based upon a statement that Srila Prabhupada himself made. Achyutananda Swami tells a story that he was in India with Srila Prabhupada in Gorakhpur. And as Srila Prabhupada was begin his speaking, he started explaining the song Jai Radha Madhava, in which he was about to sing. And Srila Prabhupada said, this song, Jai Radha Madhava, of course it's composed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, it is a picture of Vrindavan. And I'm paraphrasing.
Perfect picture of Vrindavan.
Yes, thank you, Vishnu Prabhupada said, perfect picture of Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada went on to explain that everything pertaining to Vrindavan Dham, the eternal abode of Krishna, is present in the song Jai Radha Madhava. Oh no, it's meant to be on my head. So Prabhupada said, so in this song, Jai Radha Madhava, Krishna is present, Shrimati Radharani, some associates, the Yamuna River, etc. So Srila Prabhupada said the song is a picture, perfect picture of Vrindavan. So naturally, as follows of Srila Prabhupada in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Vrindavan plays a very, very special part for our individual development of Krishna consciousness, because Shri Vrindavan Dham or Goloka Vrindavan is Krishna's eternal abode. It is the highest planet in the spiritual sky, and it is the aspiration of all of the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his success.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
the explanation.
Yes. I don't know if Srila Prabhupada ever said, this is why I picked it, but these are, as you say, these are some of the things that Srila Prabhupada said about it. Some research was done, and devotees found that this particular prayer, Jaya Radha Madhava, is part of a whole series of prayers called Sri Krishna Vingshotara Shata Nam. Ashtotara Shata, we say Jaya, what is Ashtotara Shata?
108.
Yeah, Ashta 8, Shata, 108. So Vingshotara Shata, 120 names. So there's a bunch of songs together in this that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. And the fourth one is Jai Radha Madhava. And the Jai Radha Madhava, though, of all those four songs, those different names of Krishna, this is the one that focuses in Vrindavan. Interesting. And another point was that another devotee pointed out that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deities in his paternal family home was Jai Radha Madhava.
Huh?
And he worshipped Radha Madhav in his paternal family home. And then when he came to Navadvip, he worshipped Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhav, Kunja Bihari. Then in his home in Calcutta, he worshipped Gopi Jana Vallabha and Giri Varadhari. So interesting points about it. And the song in Sanskrit or Bengali?
Interesting question. Is it in Sanskrit or Bengali? I would say a combination of both.
Well, yeah, you can say Bengali with a Sanskrit accent, and you can say Sanskrit with a Bengali accent, which Srila Prabhupada often did. But generally, so in Bengali, all the most wise, not all, but most wise are J, pronounced like so. Jashodanandana.
Yes.
That's Bengali pronunciation. Like Prabhupada would often say Acharya. Where's the J? But it's because of the Bengali Y. Often, not all Bengali was, but all Bengali with J. Or we just saying Shri Guru Charana Padma. Jahar. Jahar Prashade Bhai E Bhava Toriya Jai. I mean, it's little tiny things.
Yes.
But you know, that it was written in Bengali, so it's nice to know. And of course, like I said, you can say Bengali with a Sanskrit accent, Yahar, but the Bengali is Jahar. So, and did Srila Prabhupada, when he spoke from Chaitanya Charitamrita, did he chant Jai Radha Madhava?
I have heard some lecture tapes when Srila Prabhupada would narrate or read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he would chant one of the lines of the Shat Goswami Ashtaka.
Oh, really? This was really early. Yeah.
Yes, Nana Shastra Vicharana Pano, Siddharma Samstapako.
Yes.
Lokanam Hitakavano Tribhuane Manyo Shananyakaro.
That was particularly when he was speaking on the Madhya Lila, when Lord Chaitanya met Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. In Atlanta in 1975 and in New York in 1976 and in Mayapur in 1975, when Prabhupada spoke on the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he chanted Parama Karuna, Pahudvijan, Nitai Gaura Chandra, Shababata Shar Shiromani Kebala Ananda Kanda. Parama Karuna, the topmost mercy. What is the topmost? Dvijan, Pahudvijan, these two lords. Who's that? Nitai Gaura Chandra, Lord Chaitanya Chaitanya. Shab Avatar, of all avatars, Shar, he's the cream or the essence. Shiromani, the crown jewel. Why? Kevala Ananda Kanda, because he's giving the process of self-realization that's fun, blissful. In case you haven't tried it, try it. Anyway, so we'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava. A little trick on you will see that we Western people, we often don't pronounce Radharani, Srimati Radharani's name. We tend to chant Jai Radha. It's Radha. Because we're a little lazy, especially with Westerners, we say Radha. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Gopi Vallabha Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Bonachari Jamuna Tira Bonachari
Jamuna
I'm going to stop for a second. I'm stopping right in the middle. And I shouldn't do this. I apologize for this. But when I do the Zoom calls, usually people are muted. And sometimes, they're muted because for good reason, because they're at their work or because there's kids screaming in the background or something like that. But if they're not in a situation where it's okay, it wouldn't be a problem to chant in response, even though it's a little off. I'd say that's better than just being silent. You know what I mean? I know that some people, they want people to mute, but we get so few opportunities to chant and kirtan back and forth that even if it's a little off, I don't mind. So if you'd like, you're welcome to, if you're in a position where you can, you're welcome to unmute yourself. And when we chant.
A little, I think it's better to move it so that I can hear you better.
All right.
I know you like to have more interactive courses. So.
All right. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Madhava Kunja Bihari
Madhava Kunja Bihari
Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari
Gopi Jana
Giri Bharadhari
Giridharadhari
Abraja Jana Ranjana
Nandana Braja Jana
Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Tira
Natira Banachari Natira Banachari
Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Radha
Kunja
Bihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedant Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin ki jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai Prem se kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Bashari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai Vrindavan Dham ki jai Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai Ganga Mai ki jai Jamuna Mai ki jai Tulsi Devi ki jai Bhakti Devi ki jai Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gaura. Glories to Shri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Just a little word on the Prema Dvani prayer. We just chanted Prema Dvani. It's kind of fallen out of favor among sometimes, people don't, because we just chanted the Prema Dvani after the Guru Puja. So why do you chant it again? Why should we chant it again? Why make what's the big deal? Any reasons? Any reason?
Auspicious.
Yes? Any other reason? Any guesses?
Develop deeper prema.
Okay, yeah, sure. Anything, other reasons?
Glorifying the sacred succession.
Yes. And another reason? I just said it a couple, just about 5 minutes ago.
Because
What did Srila Prabhupada do? Yeah, he did it. He recited it. Okay, I don't, who am I to change things? Who am I, a little insignificant little insect? And why should I change things? Anyway, but at one point, the GBC did change the Prema Dvani. Did you know this? At one point, maybe this was the mid-80s, early or mid-80s. Because after Prabhupada's passing, there were new gurus And so at that time, not now, but at that time, devotees would chant their names prior to Prabhupada's name in different places. Shankar Pandit Prabhu remembers this era. Yeah. So then somebody thought, well, wait a minute. Down the line, we're going to chant all these other different gurus' names, and Srila Prabhupada's name might get left off. Just like now, we don't always chant Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's name. You're certainly possible, nice. But so after some years, after some generations, Prabhupada's name will disappear. So therefore, the GBC made a resolution to add ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai after Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda. You follow? Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda. Because after Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda, everything stays the same. Namacharya Srila Haridas, and before Namacharya Haridas Thakur, after Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda. You got that? I'll put that on the quiz in case later. See if you get it. No, it happens that people kind of slip it in someplace, ISKCON founder Acharya, someplace here or there. But it's what they decided was after Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda, then ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, then Namacharya Haridas Thakur, then Prem Sikha. Okay, Hare Krishna. I'm giving these details, very picky on details.
Historical information.
Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading in Srimad Bhagavatam and discussing first canto, 9th chapter, the passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna. And this is the 29th verse. Oh, okay. Oh, I was given a different verse to say. All right, well, anyway. Okay. The dharmam pravadatastasya. Dharmam pravadatastasya. Sakala pratyupasthita. Sakala pratyupasthita. Yo yoginas chandra mrityor. Yo yoginas chanda mrityor. Vanchitas tuttarayana. Vanchitas tuttarayana. Dharmam pravartatastasya. Sakala pratyupasthita. Yo yoginas chanda mrityor. Vanchitas tuttarayana. Please chant. Dharmam pravartatastasya. Sakala pratyupasthita. Yo yoginas chanda mrityor. Vanchitas tuttarayana. Dharmam pravaratastasya. Sakala pratyupasthita. Yo yoginas chanda mrityor. Vanchitas tuttarayana.
Dharmam pravadastasya.
Dharmam pravaratastasya. Sakala pratyupasthita. Yo yoginas chanda mrityor. Vanchitas tuttarayana. Anybody on the Zoom would like to chant? You're welcome to, and unmute yourself though, of course.
Dharmam pravadatastasya.
Dharmam bhagavatasya
Sakalaha pratyupasthitaha
sakala pratyupastita
yo yoginas chandamrityor
yo yoginas chandamrityor
vanchitas tuttarayanaha.
vanchitas tuttarayanaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dharmam pravadatastasya sakala pratyupastita yo yoginas chandamrityor vanchitas tuttarayanaha.
Dharmam pravadadastasya
Dharmam pravadatastasya
sakala pratyupasthitaha
kala pratyupastita
yo yoginas chandamrityor
yo yoginas chandamrityor
vanchitas tuttarayana.
vanchitas tuttarayana.
Dharmam pravadastasya
Dharmam pravadatastasya
sakala pratyupasthitaha
kala pratyupastita
yo yoginas mrityor
yo yoginas chandamrityor
vanchitastuttarayanaha.
vanchitas tuttarayana. Dharmam, occupational duties. Pravadata, while describing tasya, his, sa, that, kala, time, pratyupastita, exactly appeared. Ya, that is, yogina, for the mystics, chandramityo, of one who dies according to one's own selection of time. Vanchita is desired by to but uttarayana, the period when the sun runs on the northern horizon.
The period when the sun runs on the northern horizon.
Thank you. Just one little minor point. You know, when we're chanting the Sanskrit slokas, and at the end of the line with the H with a dot under it, how do you pronounce that?
Aha. Aha.
Aha. Aha. So technically it's aha. But I didn't do that. I wonder why. Any guesses? Technically, that's the correct way.
Is your understanding?
No.
It's technically, but Srila Prabhupada usually did it. He usually did it, even though he was expert in Sanskrit. When he chanted the Sanskrit slokas, he not always, but usually he didn't chant the aha. And Pradyumna, who was the Sanskrit pundit for chanting verses, he usually didn't also doing. But it's actually technically correct, as many of the devotees did. They did aha. So I just wanted to point that out, and it's certainly perfectly correct to do so. But that's why I didn't do it. Just explanation. There's a theme. I don't know if you're catching the theme here. Okay. Translation. While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. I'll say, you say. While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. What's that called, that time when the sun travels to the northern hemisphere? Uttarayana. Yeah. Purport. The perfect yogis or mystics can leave the material body at their own sweet will at a suitable time and go to a suitable planet desired by them. In the Bhagavad Gita 8:24, it is said that self-realized souls who have exactly identified themselves with the interest of the Supreme Lord can generally leave the material body during the fire god's effulgence and when the sun is in the northern horizon. And thus they achieve the transcendental sky. In the Vedas, these times are considered auspicious for quitting the body, and they are taken advantage of by expert mystics who have perfected the system. Perfection of yoga means attainment of such supramental states as to be able to live the material body as desired. Yogis can also reach any planet within no time, with any material without a material vehicle. The yogis can reach the higher planetary system within a very short time, and this is impossible for the materialist. Even attempting to reach the highest planet will take millions of years at a speed of millions of miles per hour. This is a different science, and Bhishmadev knew well how to utilize it. He was just waiting for the suitable moment to quit his material body, and the golden opportunity arrived when he was instructing his noble grandsons, the Pandavas. He thus prepared himself to quit his body before the exalted Lord Sri Krishna, the pious Pandavas, and the great sages headed by Bhagavan Vyas, etc., all great souls. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Did Srila Prabhupada chant verses before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam other than the Srimad Bhagavatam verse? The Srimad Bhagavatam classes he gave in the morning? That's a question. I'm looking for an answer.
I haven't heard. Just try to get into the subject.
Yeah, at least 95% of the time, and all the classes that I heard, listen on, you can get on Vedabase. Prabhupada goes right into the discussion.
Yes.
And in the morning class, Srimad Bhagavatam class, in the evening class, usually he chanted Om Managana Vandeham, the whole Mangalacharan. Interesting. Isn't it interesting?
Mm.
There's a theme here, right? But I chanted a few verses there just because I'm very low and I have to remember that. But still, that's what Srila Prabhupada did. He usually didn't chant verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam morning class. I said that in Mayapur. They asked me to give one class in Mayapur back in January this year. And I said that in the class. And Rameshwar Prabhu, my godbrother, Rameshwar Prabhu came up to me afterwards and said, there were some times in the early beginning that Srila Prabhupada chanted verses before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, he told me. Okay, but usually not. Okay, so anyway, Hare Krishna. Well, that's why I chanted it anyway. I'm just kidding. And before speaking, I have to ask permission from all the devotees and also those who may be senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness. I need the blessings and permissions. I do that because even though Srila Prabhupada didn't do that, because he was the senior and most advanced. But there was a time when Vidura was asking questions to Uddhava. You know this? And he said, no, I'm not going to answer. Why? Maitreya Muni was there. Maitreya Muni was senior. So, and even though Uddhava was actually more intimately related to Lord Krishna, but still, because it was the etiquette. So one time I was called by a devotee who was supposed to give class, who was a junior devotee. I said, how can I give class? There's going to be many senior devotees there, and how can I give class? What's that? Because they quoted this point where Uddhava deferred to Maitreya Muni. So what did I tell him? What did I tell him?
Take the blessings in there.
Yeah. You ask permission. Yeah, that's okay. That's how we do it. I mean, sometimes we forget. If there's somebody senior, somebody more, don't have to be senior by age, but senior, it can also be by advancement in Krishna consciousness, because, that person has much more beneficial things to say than I might, but still we ask permission. Yeah. So this verse is among the verses that are describing the passing away of Bhishmadev. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talked a little bit here about mystic yogis. Srila Prabhupada didn't talk often about mystic yogis, but sometimes he did. And he talked about mystic yogis in a book that he produced in around 1959, 1960. He printed, what was that book?
Easy Journey.
Yes, Easy Journey to Other Planets. You can, if you want, Yanti Deva Vrita Devan Pitrin Yanti Pitrivita Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Mad Bhaktan Yojinopi Mam. If you want to worship the demigods, you'll go to the demigods. Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja. If you worship the ghosts, yes, ghosts, then you can become among those beings. But if you worship me, you come to me. So you can go to different planets. Even yogis might be able to do it in their same body without having to change the body. Some yogis. Any examples of any yogis that can do that can go to a different planet even in their same body? Narad Muni. Yeah, Narad Muni. He travels all over the universe. Is it any other yogis that you know that traveled?
Daksha.
Daksha?
Devarshi Muni.
Devarshi?
Devarshi Muni.
Devasa.
Devarshi Muni.
Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni was traveling when he tried to escape the chakra of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna.
I meant to say Devasa Muni.
Yeah. He said Durvasa Muni. Any others? Not to give you any ideas. I'm not that we're not that much interested in traveling to other planets. We're not sightseeing. Mm-hmm. But another yogi that would travel to other planets, Shukadev Goswami. He traveled to other planets too. Sometimes he would give discourses in higher planets. And there was also another Muni called Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu Muni? Bhrigu Muni was deputed to do research. You're a research scientist, isn't it? Yes. So Bhrigu Muni was also a research scientist. And he was deputed by the sages to find out which of the three predominating deities within the universe are most fixed in goodness, isn't it? So in order to do that, he had to travel. He went to Brahma's place, he went to Kailash, he went to Svetadweep to see Lord Vishnu. So anyway, it is possible. Sometimes we talk about it as, and it's not mystical. It is mystical, but it's not fairy tales. It's actually true. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes mention little things like this, like he had a teacher, and his teacher had a teacher who would say, whatever you want, you tell me what you want. And then people would say, well, can you get me some pomegranates from Afghanistan? I don't know, is Afghanistan the place you get pomegranates from?
I don't know.
The nice pomegranates. So then he would be standing, and then right in the next room they would go and get the pomegranates from Afghanistan. There would be pomegranates because he had this prapti siddhi. Yeah. And also Srila Prabhupada mentioned about this yogi, Trailanga Shami, who was well known in the 19th century. And apparently he was living in Benares. Prabhupada talked about him, Trailanga Shami. And apparently he lived for several hundred years. And he was a follower of Kali. He was a Kali Bhakta, but he had some special powers. And he would walk around Benares in his birthday suit. You know the birthday suit? What do you wear in your birthday? Naked. Yeah, yeah. Like the Naga Babas. He would wear, and so the police would arrest him and they'd put him in jail and then he'd be out. Because he had this, he could, anima siddhi, get so small he could escape. And then they put him again in jail and then he'd get out. And then sometimes people would see him on the, because Benares is on the bank of the Ganges, and they'd see him on the Ganges and he'd be, levitating, meditating hovering over the Ganges River. So he's kind of famous person. When Srila Prabhupada went to Allahabad at the Kumbh Mela fair, or the Magh Mela fair, I guess it was in 1971, Srila Prabhupada told the devotees, and you can hear this on following Srila Prabhupada, those videos that Yadubara and Madhavi Shakra made. They said, be very, very careful, because there are some yogis here who are very powerful. They're living hundreds of years old. And they go, sometimes they take bath in the Rishikesh, Ganges, and they come up in the Triveni, or they come up the Ganga Sagara, they travel that way. Yeah. So these are not just stories. They're actually facts that a person can become materially powerful, get material siddhis by practice of yoga. The devotee, though, they're more interested in, they're not at all interested actually in those siddhis. Lord Chaitanya said this, mukti, bhukti, siddhi kami, sakala ashanta. Krishna bhakti nishkama, atayeva shanta. That everybody in this world, they're irritated, anxious, because they want stuff. And as soon as you want stuff, you might not get it. It happens. You might not get it. So then if you're worried if you're not going to get it, then there's anxiety. But a Krishna Bhakta, they have no nishkama. Nishkama means no desire. One time I was giving a class on this, and somebody in the back said, wait a minute, that's not true. The Krishna Bhaktas, they desire to serve Krishna. That's a desire. You got me there. You got me. But that nishkama means no material desire. No material desire. The transient desire, you can't go away from desire. It's natural for the living entity, has desire, but no material desire. The material desire, whatever material desire you try to follow and satisfy, there's going to be a reaction. And whether it's punya, pious, or impious, papa, still you're going to get a reaction. If you do pious activity, very nice, but that means you're going to come back to this material world to enjoy the fruits of that pious activity. So Narottam Das Thakur said, Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda, Kevala,
Ananda.
Bisharabandha. Bisharabandha means it's poison and it's going to bind you. Hari Hari Bipale. Look, Narottam Das Thakur, he says these prayers. One thing I really appreciated, I went on the yatra with Vaisheshik Prabhu, my godbrother, the last few years in Puri and Vrindavan. This time I didn't go to Vrindavan, but in Puri. And what was especially wonderful was Vaisheshik Prabhu during the yatra, he would chant many of the Vaishnav songs, the Vaishnav bhajans of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which in the earlier days of ISKCON, we chanted a lot. Now this day it's not as prominent, but still people do. But it was much more prominent in the early days. There were so many songs that we chanted. Any guesses of some of those songs that we chanted in the? Come on.
The one that you just sang, Manusa Janama Paila.
I did a survey of all the bhajans that Srila Prabhupada cited in his classes. Okay, this was in Vrindavan last year. Yeah, last year, because they asked me to give class on Narottam Das Thakur's appearance day. Anyway, so okay, I did a survey, I looked through all the Vedabase, and that song, Prabhupada quoted more than any other song. Manushya Janma Paya, Radha Krishna Nabhajiya. I've wasted Hari Hari Vipale Janma Goinainu. I've wasted my life. This is how we. Narottam Das, did he waste his life? No, no. We are wasting our lives. We got to remember this is for us. This is for us. We're wasting our lives. Yeah, because we're not seriously chanting and doing service as diligently and as well as we can. Therefore, he's helping us to think in that way. Manusya Janma Paya. I've taken birth in this human form of life. Radha Krishna Nabhajiya. I've neglected my worship of Radha Krishna. Jani Ashunya Bishkainu. Jani Ashunya. Jani, I knew this was poison. And people told me and they warned me this poison. Still I drank it. Still I drank it. This is Jani Ashunya Bishkainu. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. Even though the Harinam is coming, the Harinam, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is coming from the spiritual world, Ratina Janmino Kenetai. I have no interest in it. I don't want, I'm too busy. I don't want to chant. This is our condition. Is if we can get just a little bit of a taste for chanting the holy names, kirtan and or japa and or both, then our lives will become very successful. Anyway. So we're talking about the mystical processes, and the devotee is not interested in developing mystic siddhis, although he might actually sometimes get mystic siddhis. I'll give you a couple examples. So if you read, Prabhupada's the Prabhupada memories, you'll find a lot of times when Srila Prabhupada the devotees would remember when Srila Prabhupada gave them their names, they would be shocked because Prabhupada had understood something about them that's why he gave them a particular name. So for example, my godbrother Kushakrata, he's no longer with us. Remember Kushakrata? Yeah. So I was there when he got initiated in New York at Henry Street. And so he walked up to Srila Prabhupada and he said, it wasn't about his name particularly, but he said, Prabhupada asked, okay, well, tell me the 4 regulative principles. And he said, no meat, no eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. And then Srila Prabhupada said, and which one do you like best? And then the Kushakrata Prabhu said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, you've read my mind. You've read my mind. Mystic power, isn't it? Mystic power. So then Giriraj Maharaj tells a story about his given name at birth last name was Titan. But Titan is the name of a mountain range out west. And he was very proud of having a name. Well, he liked having a name. I won't say proud, but he liked having a name with a mountain in it. It was very. So what name did he get? Giriraj Govardhan. Yeah. So the mountain is there. The mountain is there. So, and then I know for me, my name, when I was a kid, a baby, we're talking about 1952, my parents would you have baby pictures? Baby pictures? Yeah, of course you do. Parents, they make baby pictures. So they would dress me up as a caveman when I was a baby. I don't know why. They would dress me up as a caveman. And in my right hand, they had as a caveman. What does caveman have in the right hand?
Club.
Okay.
Gada.
So Srila Prabhupada gave me the name Vishnu Gada. How's that? I don't know. But somehow, there's this mystic power. And a devotee said that when they went into Srila Prabhupada one day in his room in the morning time, the sun was coming through the window and he was kind of chuckling. And Srila Prabhupada, they asked, why are you chuckling, Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, well, I was just practicing how to go to the sun on the sun rays. Is that mystical? Yeah, so some, yeah. So, but the devotee doesn't isn't interested in those things. But if Krishna gives him, then he'll accept them. How? In the service of Krishna, for Krishna's service. That's the main thing. The main thing. So here, this is a very interesting chapter because Yudhishthira Maharaj, along with his brothers, along with all these sages, are coming to see Bhishma Dev as he's on the bed of arrows. Now think about this. You know, in stereotypical ways, people would go to India and they would see ascetics. And what would they be lying on a bed of? Nails, isn't it?
Yes.
Nails. And this was amazing to people, right? They would say, oh, people can do that. And how did they practice, right? Did Bhishma Dev have practice on being on a bed of arrows?
No.
It's not just lying on a bed of nails, which doesn't pierce your skin, but actually the arrows were piercing all the way through his body into the earth. And in that state, he's maintaining his life. What's that? He's maintaining his life. How can he live that way? How's that?
He's confident.
Yeah.
As the verse indicated, he was able to leave his body at will.
How did that happen? That he was able to? I mean,
He
can
was-
we leave our bodies at will?
No, he had a benediction from his father, who said that he could, so his father had.
Yes, he had a benediction from his father. His father was named Shantanu, and his father wanted to marry Satyavati, but there was a catch. You know, the fine print in the agreement. Her father said, "No, I want my grandson to be king," and Shantanu already had Bhishma Dev as his oldest son. So if his daughter was going to marry Shantanu, if they had a son, they wouldn't be king. So anyway, Bhishma Dev found out, he did some research, and he found out what had happened. And so he wanted to please his father. And he went there to the king of the fishermen. And he said, well, what can we do? He said, well, your father can't marry because you'll be the king. So Bhishma said, all right, how about this? I renounce the kingdom. I will never be king. I mean, really, for somebody who's got power, it's very difficult. Hare Krishna.
Died.
For somebody who's got power, it's very difficult to give up power, isn't it? We see that in current presidential things and all kinds of things. Yeah, once you give power, it's almost impossible to give it up. But that's the system. That was the system in the Vedic system, that Kshatriyas would take Vanaprastha at a certain time. But anyway, he said he's not going to be king at all. So the Satyavati's father said, well, that's not good enough. You know why? Because you could have children, and that child will then take the throne. So then Bhishma Dev said, I'm never going to marry, which was shocking. It was not shocking for everybody, but shocking for someone who's in the position of a king. Yeah, because kings often had many wives. Dasharatha had 4 wives. Lord Krishna has 16,108 wives. It's not, and that was of course not because of material desire, but generally because the kings had great ambition to do service by protecting the people. They got some license. They had often more than one wife. So a king or person who's in the status of a king like Bhishma Dev, to renounce having any children was a big deal. And so therefore the demigods, they said, you'll be known as Bhishma. So just the fact that he did so, when his father found out, he was so pleased that he gave him that benediction. So that means his father must be very powerful too. You can't just, if somebody gives you a benediction, okay, you can die at your will. His father must have been very powerful. So you can understand that to please a very elevated person, that's a wonderful, one opens up great possibilities for you. Therefore we say, Jahat prashade bhai, e bhovo turiya jai. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy. By service and by pleasing the spiritual master, you can cross over the ocean of birth and death and get the mercy of Krishna. Haha Prabhu Korodoya Deha More Padachaya. You give me your lotus, the shade of your lotus feet. So that's why we especially pray every day to get the lotus feet, to get the dust from the lotus feet of our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and the Vaishnavas within this world, within ISKCON, without outside of ISKCON. But we want the dust of the lotus feet, because by their grace we can make progress. We can follow all the different principles very carefully, but if our hearts are still not open to getting the grace and the mercy of superior personalities who are advanced in Krishna consciousness, we're not going to go. We're not going to get it. Very important. Yeah, so Bhishma Dev was able to do that. He got the mercy, even though it was on for his life's duration. That's a pretty amazing thing. But here you have, then Bhishma Dev is there on the bed of arrows. And you can think, from a material standpoint, there must be excruciating pain, isn't it? Excruciating pain. I mean, you get one toothache and it drives you crazy. It drives you crazy. What to speak of being permeated by arrows. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mantra sparshasta konteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino tityastang titikshasva bharata. The world, in this world, is going to be happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor. And what do we have to do? What do we have to do?
Tolerate.
Not only, Srila Prabhupada very interestingly translates it, learn to tolerate. Isn't it? It's interesting. Learn to tolerate means we don't know. We don't know how to tolerate. We as soon as there's some problem, we fly off the handle, isn't it? I do. So learn to tolerate. And if you look in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells about the yogic process, and he says, okay, you got to be able to withstand pebble stone to gold is the same. Pebble stones are gold, and heat and cold, all these things.
Honor, dishonor.
Honor, dishonor. Even more difficult than these material experiences is seeing your friend, enemy, those who are honest well wishes, and those who are indifferent and partial and the same. Because in the world, it's even more difficult to deal with insults. Then, I can deal with cold, I can deal with pain, but insults from people who are close to you, that's even more difficult. Anyway, so Bhishma Dev was there, and he was tolerating, and all these, including Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, but all these great sages came there to be with him. Why would they want to be with him? At the moment of, he's there on the bed of arrows. Why? Why'd they come from all over the universe? Narad Rishi was there. Domi was there. Huh?
Krishna was there.
Krishna was also, yes. That's one good reason that Krishna was there, yes. And Bhishma Dev was a Mahajan.
Yeah.
Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumar, Kapila Mano, Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasaki, Vayam. He's one of the great expounders of Krishna consciousness, devotional service. Yeah. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's the son of Yamaraj, Dharmaraj. So he's highly elevated personality. So you can understand that this discussion that's going to take place with Krishna present must be very elevated for spiritual understanding. Oh my God. This is, we don't get that many chances to hear transcendental subject matters. And when it's, really elevated to the point of, Krishna, Bhishma Dev, and his great devotee Yudhishthira and Bhishma Dev are both great devotees. They're going to have an exchange. That information is wonderfully elevating. Take advantage of that. So we're taking advantage of it by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful. You know, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. How long did that take?
Srila Prabhupada indicated that Krishna spoke the message of Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes he would say half an hour, sometimes Srila Prabhupada would say within 45
minutes. Yeah. And then later, same Krishna, only in a different mood, spoke to Rupa Goswami for 10 days. Bhagavad Gita is there, basics. 10 days Bhagavad Gita teaching to Rupa Goswami. Then he spoke to Sanatana Goswami. 2 months. 2 months information. So how long is he speaking here to Bhishma Dev? I mean, Yudhishthira and Bhishma Dev are speaking. How long is it going on? I don't know, several days. Until the sun comes into the northern hemisphere. Uttarayana. Yeah. And think about this. These sages, they've already heard and they already know the purpose of life. They're great sages. Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedas, Shukadev Goswami was there, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Still, they wanted to hear. Isn't it? Why? They already knew everything. Used to be, in the early days of ISKCON, if you try to preach to an Indian person, you know what they'd say? I'm Indian, I know everything. With great humility and but anyway, so these sages, they already knew the principles of religion, but you know, hearing it again and again in different circumstances and different situations, it clarifies and makes it crystal clear and helps us to remember what is our position. Yudhishthira, he was just finished. It was just the battle of Kurukshetra had just been over, and Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita at the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra. And what was the conclusion of Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita? Surrender to Krishna, and then as a result of surrendering to Krishna, what? And why is he worried about Papa? Why is he worried about Papa? Sinful reactions. Why is Arjuna worried about Papa? Sinful reactions. Because he's going to kill all those people on the opposing side, isn't it? So Arjuna already asked these, he already went through the Bhagavad Gita. Did you think he didn't tell that to Yudhishthira Maharaj? And why is Yudhishthira Maharaj so worried about things? Because the same purpose, the same thing. I'm the cause of the death of thousands and hundreds and millions of people. I'm such a sinful person. But Arjuna just got the information that Krishna wanted it to happen. So, but time and again, even though we might know the real reason we're engaging devotional service, it's really important to remind ourselves and also to continue to hear from other authorities to reinforce and to solidify our understanding, which is exactly what Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing. He's solidifying his understanding of what the purpose of life is, how to engage in Krishna service as the king. And that's what Bhishma Dev wonderfully does for him in this situation. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we can take that. There's just 6 things. There's 6 things that we call that are reinforce or nourish devotional service. What are those? You know, in the Upadeshamrita?
Nischarya dharya tat karma pravardhana sangatyaga sato vrete satvir bhakti prasiddhyati.
Yes, those are enthusiasm, nishchaya, dharya, patience, determination, following the rules and regulations.
Giving up non-devotee. Following the footsteps of predecessors.
Yes, and then the next one I'm thinking, though, I was thinking of the next one. Dadati pratiginnati guyam akyati prichtiti. Guyam akyati prichtiti means to inquire confidentially and reveal your mind in confidence. So how can I improve in my devotional service? How can I improve my service? I'm doing this. That's essentially what Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Bhishmadev, isn't it? My service is to Krishna is to govern the kingdom. So he's asking. So that takes a bit of humility, isn't it? To think, how can I improve my devotional service so that it pleases Krishna? If we were actually there, that we're actually pleasing Krishna, we got it made. But we got a little ways to go. Humility means we got to improve. So, Guyamakati Prichati, we follow in the footsteps of Yudhishthira Maharaj and say, how can I do better in my chanting japa, or my puja, or my cooking, or the way I relate with devotees, or the way I do book distribution? How can I improve? And we can ask ourselves that's one of the reasons we have this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is we can get enthused by seeing how other devotees do it, and also by requesting them, please help me improve in my Krishna consciousness. Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments? I know I took the time, it's 8:38 already. So
Questions? Comments?
here's a question here, or a comment.
I'm wondering, like, when this scenario was playing out, they were asking questions for somebody, as you mentioned, who had already come to that level of Isha Krishna, but we may, no offense, but we may say ourselves or others, even, that they may, like, as you mentioned, not be quite at that level. How do we develop that faith when we inquire from them as opposed to someone who's on a higher?
If you're asking somebody, one thing to know is, Jai bhaje she boro, abhaktahin char, Krishna bhajano nahi jati kulari bichar. Anybody who worships Krishna, they're great. And they have something to contribute, even though they may not be at the top level. So, there was a time when Srila Prabhupada, I think it was in Denmark, it might have been in Holland at one time, but they were going to install the deities and they really messed things up. And Prabhupada was irritated. And one devotee, a new person, said, well, you should just chant Hare Krishna. Said that to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was chanting Hare Krishna, he chanted Hare Krishna. So I mean, the symptom, the nature of a good, elevated person is, what is that? Matrivat paradareshu, paradarvyeshu losravat, atmavat sarvaputeshu, yapashyati sapandita. Yeah, that's not that exactly one, but you take gold from a dirty place, even good instruction, even from someone who's not very elevated. Of course, you have to use some discrimination, but devotees, even young devotees, they can be helpful in that. Of course, the most helpful will be from Srila Prabhupada and your Shiksha gurus, your senior devotees, but everybody has some to contribute, I believe. Yeah, I think. Yes, sir.
Just substantiating the point you just made, Bishop Prabhu. As you know, this morning, after the Mangal article, we're reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, just some of the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. So in the reading this morning, there was a description of Srila Prabhupada visiting Boston ISKCON and the different devotees. And Prabhupada was pleasantly surprised seeing how beautiful the deities were dressed. So Srila Prabhupada asked the assembled devotees, who has made these outfits for their lordships? They look very nice. So the devotee said, Sharadiya Mataji. So then Srila Prabhupada congratulated her, and then in a humorous way, Srila Prabhupada asked, is Sharadiya still fighting with her husband? And everyone started laughing, and naturally, Sharadiya Mataji was a little embarrassed. And then Srila Prabhupada indicated to her, said, don't fight with your husband. Actually, your husband is a good boy. Anyone who comes to Krishna is good. So The same point, even if a devotee may not be entirely situated on the transcendental platform, because that devotee is subjecting themselves to the rules and regulations of devotional service, they're good. They have something good to offer.
Pichet sudaracharo bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito, he said. Even if duracharo means bad, and suduracharo means pretty bad. Bhajate mam ananya bhak. But if they're actually engaged in devotional service without deviation, okay, sadhu, that's a sadhu. And they can give you good advice. Not always, but there's certain things. Of course, we want to get the best instruction we can get is from Srila Prabhupada and his representatives, his pure representatives, but everybody.
Any other?
That's what, in a temple like this, like here in St. Louis, I know, I'm just saying, I know that I can see that Ramacharya Prabhu, he takes information from other devotees. Sometimes you'll find that a person who's in a leadership position will only want to do things their way and nobody else. I don't want to hear what anybody else wants. That's not a good sign. But when the person is open and ready to get instruction and hear how the other devotees doing, what do you think? How should we do this? Not that they're going to do exactly what everybody says, but that they're open to that. That's a very, very good sign, because that's why we have an International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That everybody can help together. We work together, and things will go on nicely.
Yes, and Vishnu Prabhu, can you briefly touch on the point in relation to the verse under discussion? Yes, Bhishma Dev understood, okay, the sun is moving in the northern hemisphere. This is very auspicious. And even though he knew Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is sitting before him, so he would obviously get the benefits of being transferred to the spiritual world. So someone may think, well, should I pursue this type of mystic yoga and choose an auspicious astrological calculation for me to leave, or can you?
Yeah, in this same idea is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that a devotee doesn't bother with this. He or she doesn't bother with that part, because it's ultimately up to Krishna to take him back. So, although yogis and technical persons, they can do that, and it's okay, but it's not required.
Yes, and Srila Prabhupada would emphasize that we're practicing bhakti yoga, bhakti, loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, and as Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, yam yam bhakti svanan bhavam tiyajit. Yes.
Antakale chamameva smaran mukva kalebram yapyate sabadbhavam tatyan siddhatare sansaya. If anybody who thinks of me at the time of death, they come to me. Srila Prabhupada passed away in November, which was before the Uttarayana.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away in December, the last day of December or the first day of January, early, So that's before Uttarayana, at least this Uttarayana.
And Srila Prabhupada would always remind the devotees that the easiest and most effective way to remember the Supreme Lord at any given time, particularly at the time of death, is chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Easiest and most sublime method.
Really interesting point here is that on battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, Lord Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna, and then after showing his universal form, he changed into four-arm form, right? Narayan form. And then Arjuna said, no, I prefer your two-arm form.
Yes.
Here, Bhishma Dev prefers his four-arm form.
Yes.
Krishna's two-arm, but he prefers a four-arm. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. So there's different devotees.
Yes. Individual rasas or attractions to the Lord.
Arjuna says, no, I want to see your two-arm form. Anyway, and this is the last point of death. The last in the West. There's this thing. This. Have you ever heard this famous last words? Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Anyway, people don't really believe that it's really important what you think of at the time of death in this culture, because they don't have any idea that what you think of will probably be a factor in your next life. But, people say things like, let's see, et tu, Brutus, Julius Caesar. You're also involved in the plot to kill me, Brutus? That was he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did Joe DiMaggio say? Finally, I'll get to be with Marilyn Monroe. Like, these are the things they say. Yeah. What did Karl Marx say? That's such foolish thing as being bothered about last words. It's important what you said the rest of your life, not your last words. Who cares about your last words? That's what Karl Marx said. What did Elvis Presley say? I mean, these are things recorded. It's time to go. He has to go to the bathroom. That was his last words. Anyway, so, but Nathan Hale, I regret that I have just one life to live to my country. Remember this? You learned it in school. Actually, he had more than one life to give if he wanted to, right? But anyway, those things, those last words are not going to help you. They're not significantly beneficial for you. But devotees, and with all those sages and saints there, and with Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas there, that gives it a wonderful atmosphere and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally coming, the perfect environment for him to go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada also, very similar to him, like Bhishma Deva speaking all these transcendental truths to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada also, in his last days, he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam up to a few days before his passing. He was invalid on the bed, but they would put the microphone very close to his back. And those last purports from the 10th canto, that was Srila Prabhupada, just before he passed away. Just like Bhishma Dev, very similar to Bhishma, even though the Kaviraj said that his body must have been incredibly painful, but because he was fixed in Krishna consciousness, he could continue to do that service, just like Bhishma Dev.
Wonderful comparison. I'm also reminded of King Kulashekara. King Kulashekara was one of the 12 Alvars. The Alvars were 12 Alvars in particular. The Alvars were exalted Vaishnavas. And of course, one of them was a Vaishnavi. They all appeared hundreds of years ago in Tamil Nadu. So those of you who are from South India, especially Tamil Nadu, know about the Alvars. So the Alvars, all Vaishnavas, and they represented all of the different Vardanas and Ashramas. Some of them were Brahmanas by birth, some Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, and just like that. So King Kulashekara was a Kshatriya, very, very exalted Vaishnava, and he wrote the Mukunda Mala Stotra, which is still being uttered as a regular daily function by many. So aside from the Mukunda Mala Stotra, King Kulashekara wrote other prayers and verses in glorification of Lord Krishna. And one of them was very beautiful. Krishna Todiya Padapankaja Pancharanta. And it goes on. In fact, Srila Prabhupada would sing this song. And essentially, King Kulashekara was indicating that he would prefer to give up his life while his mind and consciousness was very fixed on Krishna. Adhyaiva, Vishite. In other words, he's saying, I'm ready to go immediately, give up this body, because I'm thinking of the Supreme Lord. He said, otherwise, I'm fearful in old age, when the body is disturbed by excessive mucus and all types of inconveniences, I may not be able to remember the Lord. So I prefer to give up this life now in sound consciousness. So, as we know, this body is temporary, no exceptions to the rule. Janma Mriti, Jara Vyadi. We're all afflicted by old age, disease, death, some point. So it is a very critical condition. So we should, while we're strong, healthy, cultivate our Krishna consciousness to the best of our ability, as Vishnu Gada was nicely pointing out. Krishna Bhakta Niskama. We shouldn't be after so many fleeting material pleasures, desires, but simply try to desire to serve Guru, Sadhu, Shastra.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhibhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhishma Dev ki jai. Pancha Pandavas ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Very good. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Chance to learn. I'll be joining in few minutes after.
Krishna Tvadiya Padapangaja Panjarantam Adaiva Vishitume Manasa Raja Hansa Prana Pradama Samaye Sabakara Kittu Kanta Varodana Vidho Smaranam Kutaste. My throat will be choked up. Prabhupada would
But
chant.
it's a very beautiful metaphor also. Explain that because you're still online. The lotus flower and
The swans like to twist, they go below and put their neck in with the roots of the lotus flower. So similarly, I want my mind to be twangled up in your lotus feet. Manasa Raja Hansa. Raja Hansa.
Like the swan.
King of the swans. Yeah. My mind make it like a swan. And so anyway, those prayers Prabhupada would chant. You can listen to them. Oh, this is Purushottam Mass.
Yes.
So you can do extra stuff to say. You can just do.
Actually, with the Mukundamala Stotram that was compiled by King Kulashekar, Srila Prabhupada translated a few of the verses.
Yes.
Maybe up to 10 or something like
Yeah.
that. And then he set it aside in favor of completing the Bhagavatam. But that just shows the importance of
Yeah.
the Mukundamala Stotram and King Kulashekar himself.
Hare Krishna.
He
Hare Bol.
disconnect the microphone. So I don't know if he said on. I guess he's still online. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Are we the?
Well, that's like that too.
Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Bandarantam Ataiva Vishitume Manasa Raja Hansa Kaf Patta Pitta.
Kappa, Bhakta Pitta, yeah. Because violin air. Do you know how to turn off the laptop? Yeah, just disconnect it from being on.
I think it's